Hi, guys. I wanted to talk about the 10 worst things that we say to depressed people. Not me per se, but some people. Number 1, think positively. Look on the bright side. Just think happy thoughts. Why is this something that we shouldn't say? Well, in reality, when you're depressed, you can't. You can't think on the bright side. You can't think happy thoughts. You don't have as much power over your brain as you do when you're not depressed. In particular, the frontal lobe. What does that frontal lobe thing do? I'm glad you asked. The frontal lobe is responsible for goal-directed behavior, problem solving, and reasoning. So being able to evaluate a situation carefully, just put on a happy face, you don't have that when you're depressed, or you have less of that ability than do those of us when we are not depressed. Number 2, maybe if you try blank, you will feel better. We can insert just about anything there, but yoga, running, meditation, what else? A new hobby, all those things. So, yes, to some extent, there is some validity there because the neurotransmitters in your brain start firing more, and the happy hormones and serotonin and all those things get excited when you're trying something new because your brain is developing new pathways. So yes, in theory, you can become happier if you try something new. For those of you that have been following me, you know that it's in fact one of the steps in my book. So now we've got some goods and some bads here. See, you should try something. It might make you feel better, but it might make you feel better for a short period of time. And if you're so depressed that you're having trouble getting out of bed, going to work, how the fuck is yoga going to help? Honestly, and I love yoga. If you know me, you know I'm a huge fan of yoga. But in this case, real depression, clinical depression, there's not a one fix, an easy answer. And when you suggest to people that they might feel better if they just bought your essential oils, you're really diminishing the shitty way that they're feeling. A third one, here's another good one. You're overreacting. Actually, they're not overreacting. Someone who's depressed is literally reacting to the best of their ability. They're reacting the way their brain, which remember, limited cognitive abilities now thanks to the depression, poor frontal lobe activity. They're not overreacting. They're reacting the way their brain is telling them to, the way their heart is telling them to. Not overreacting. Also, they're overreacting because they're suffering from what Aaron Beck called the cognitive triad of depression. Sounds fantastic, right? Don't we all want that? What is the cognitive triad of depression? Well, cognitive triad is when you feel hopeless, helpless, and like things are never going to change. And again, your brain's not working perfectly, but this is how you feel. So when someone tells you you're overreacting, that's actually just one more thing now you get to be thrilled with feeling bad about. One more thing that's wrong with you when you can't figure out what you're doing and you already feel like shit anyway. So please tell your depressed friends, child, family member that they're overreacting and watch it not help at all. The other thing is you're totally diminishing their beliefs, their strengths, their weaknesses, and any remaining self-esteem that someone who's been depressed for a long time currently has. Can you see why that's not a good thing to do? Yeah. Here's the other thing. When you're caught up in this helpless, hopeless, and shit's never going to change point of view, you are dealing with two things. One is cognitive distortions. For example, all or none thinking, catastrophizing. And two is some sort of cognitive biases. I'll give you an example of bias. Here it is. A bias is essentially you see the world through, as we like to say, rose-colored glasses for the happy people. Instead, you see it through gloom-covered glasses. So that depressed person that you're trying to help, they can't hear you the way you think they can. And they're actually probably suffering from a confirmation bias. What's a confirmation bias? Well, confirmation bias is when we look for evidence in our environment that supports the belief we already have. So, for example, if I am convinced that I am the fattest person in this town, I will only notice thin people. And that will further support my confirmation bias. Depressed people are doing the same thing. Their world really is an awful place because that is how they are seeing it. They are only paying attention to the awful things. So your logic and reasoning literally has no place here. No place. And you're not helping, you're actually just further shaming. So great plan. That's fabulous. I'm glad that's going to work out for both of you. Number 4, oh, you're depressed. Is this because of blank? What can blank be? You didn't make the soccer team. You didn't get cheerleading captain. What else? You got a bad grade in that class. No, it's actually not. It's not because of one thing. It may have started because of one thing, but it's not one thing that's driving everything to shit. It's something called clinical depression. And depression, technical definition, in case you haven't heard me say this 1,000 times, is that your internal reaction is disproportionate to the external situation. So, yes, I guess they're overreacting, but also, no, this is not because of blank. It is because they are depressed. It is one thing does not usually send someone into a depression unless one thing is like the death of a close loved one. And even then, we give them a little bit of space because it's depressing when someone dies. You want to be able to pinpoint it so that you feel more comfortable with that person's depression. Why? Well, if you're a parent, you want to be able to control it. And if you're not a parent, and if this is a friend or a loved one, you really just want to, it's sort of a there but for the grace of God go I type thing. You want a way that this is happening to them and not you. You want a way where you are safe and protected. It's not about you, it's about them. This is going to happen to them because of something horrible in their past. We also react this way after someone commits suicide. We subconsciously, kind of smugly, are like, well, that happened to them because we need an answer. It's a way to distance yourself, but guess what? We're all subject. No one is free or guaranteed to be in the clear. Depression affects everyone, no matter how old you are, how rich you are, or how much you try to pretend it's not related to you or your family. Oh, number 5. This is another winner. Everyone has their ups and downs. That's true, but everyone is not depressed. Depression causes changes in the brain, clinically proven changes in the brain. We don't yet know why some people are more prone to depression or anxiety. We can hypothesize that it's part nurture and part nature, it's part something you're born with, particularly because medications can help. So I just realized I'm going to add a bonus one to this. Everyone has ups and downs. The other thing to say to someone is, why are you taking medication? You can just cure this naturally. I'm a therapist, so, I want you guys to go to therapy if you're depressed, but I also don't want you saying shitty things to people that are already depressed. Don't tell people how to fix something that is not yours to fix, and you don't even know how it fucking broke. Number 8, and this one comes directly from a patient of mine who was told this by an asshole who wanted to date her, and she did not want to date him. Ready? I hope you get the help you need. That is the most insulting, demeaning, disrespectful thing. It's as though any shred of decency, self-respect, whatnot that this person has, you're taking away from them. I hope you get the help you need. By the way, that's very different than I hope you get better or I hope you feel better. Although both should be said with great caution and while paying attention to the time or place. If you've just been rejected by this chick and you say this, know that you're just a douchebag because there's no reason for you to say that. Number 7, you know what your problem is? It's not depression. It's whatever comes next is wrong. It's wrong. Just shut your mouth. It's wrong. How do I know this? Because depression is complicated. I talk to depressed people every day. I work with suicidal teenagers. I can assure you there's no one answer. And this was not caused by any one thing. Number 8, and this is related to the whole telling people what they're doing wrong and the medication issue. You know, I really think the medication is working. Do you think the medication's working? So in defense, I hear this a lot from parents of teens, and then the parents are asking their teens this, and it's a very, I feel for you guys. I understand that as parents, you're really just hoping and praying that there can be a change sooner rather than later, and that's because you're looking for your child to feel safe and for you to feel secure and for everyone to feel better and take a deep breath and a sigh of relief and not have to worry about this anymore. And so I get it, but it's also a lot of pressure on the kid who medicine takes time to kick in, like 4 to 8 weeks. And hopefully, thank God, you get it on the first time and it's the right med for you because not every medication works for every person. But also, it's tough to know. And we all have good days and bad days. That's true. We all have good days and bad days, but we're not all depressed. So to ask for an answer, explanation, to have this pressure, that's additional pressure you're accidentally putting on your kid. And I know that you don't mean it. And I know that you love them. But I also know that you're kind of making it worse in some ways. And how are they supposed to judge? They're a kid. You will tell if there is a change by what happens over time. Over time, you're going to have to wait. Number 10, let's not tell fill in the blank. It can be the school, it can be grandma, it can be a basketball coach or whoever. Let's not tell. That is saying what you are going through right now is shameful and should not be shared. So now you're taking someone who's hopeless, helpless, and feels like things are never going to get better, and you're telling them that they have to stay silent about it, that it's something they should be ashamed of. Let's stop. Let's try to end the stigma rather than promoting it, rather than teaching our loved ones, our children, to be embarrassed about their mental illness struggles or mental health struggles. I don't actually care what you call it. But let's think about our words when they come out of our mouth and the potential they have to make someone feel. Number 10, and this is the last one. You don't look depressed. Let me tell you something. 12 minutes ago, I looked like what I am, a mom who's been lying on bed all day watching football. And now, I put on some makeup, I brushed my hair, I put a smile on my face. I had to put the smile on my face. You can't tell if someone's depressed just by looking at them. It's not your place to judge. If someone is brave enough to share that they are depressed with you or even suicidal, you be a big boy or big girl and take them at their word. Don't think we could probably count on one hand the number of people that are using their mental health as a bluff to avoid doing things. Most people who say that they're depressed or suicidal or need help are really genuinely seeking for help. And yes, sometimes we're able to put on a happy face, and sometimes you can't. It's not your job to judge. One smile doesn't mean the depression is gone. The same way crying once doesn't mean you're depressed. Let's do a better job supporting people. Let's learn. Let's ask questions. Let's not judge. Let's not preach. Let's not talk down to someone. If someone you love is depressed or suicidal, don't say these shitty things to them. Just ask what you can do, and the answer may be nothing, but at least you're asking rather than assuming. Thanks for listening, and I hope your Sunday's going well.